fondant, which is pre-coloured. Again, you can just get the white icing from the supermarket and then just pre-colour it using one of the coloured pastes. I use Creative pastes. They're quite handy. So I'm going to make 2 little bees. So just get my fondant, roll it into a ball, then to a little sausage, break it in half because I want my bees to be about the same size. So by doing that, you get a roughly the same size shape. And then, depending on how big you want your bee, roll it into a ball, then roll it into a sort of an oval shape because it's the sort of bee shape. Again, the other ball. Just roll it up a bit. Now, this is a floured work base. You can just use baking paper to rest yourself on. I also made some little cut-out hearts, just white fondant with a little heart-shaped cutter, and I just cut those out the other day. Now, I gave them a day to just dry a little bit. It's always better to have them dry a little bit if you can, make them a day or 2 before, because it's, I don't know, it just seems when I like to poke them into the bee a little bit. Now I've got a little bit more white fondant. I'm going to make some eyes, just a tiny little bit. Again, I like to roll it into a ball, then roll it into a little bit of a sausage, and then you can cut it in half so that your eyeballs or your eyes are about the same size. It's sort of hard to get them the same size otherwise. Then you roll them into a little ball again, flatten them, using a tiny little bit of water. Just put a dot where you want the eyes to go. Roll this one into a little ball, flatten it out. And then we put that here. I have to re-roll it again, flatten it again, and again, hope it sticks this time. There we go. Do the same on the other little bee. Take a little bit of fondant. Depending on how big your eyes are going to be, they're not finished eyes, they'll have some little black dots in them as well. Just, whoa, can be fiddly some of this stuff. Just mark it in the middle, so you have 2 balls, or hopefully 2 little balls that are pretty much the same in size. Again, depending on how you want them. I can put them down. Being a wet day outside, it is very sticky at the moment. Everything's a bit sticky. A little bit of water, where you want the eyes to go. Again, you can use some Tylose and water, or some sugar in the water, or just plain water, depending on what you want to achieve. Now, there's our little bees. The next thing we need to do is put some black stripes on them, and I've already got my black fondant here, and I've put it on a piece of paper because I find working with black fondant very messy. Just put that over there. So I'm going to get just a tiny bit. Doing this separately because it really is just so messy, and you don't want to touch your little yellow bees and get black all over them. So make this, you can touch a little bit of flour if you want. Make this as thin as we can dare. Might be easier to just do it here. These are the fiddly bits. I don't really want the ends there a little bit skinny. Look at how long you want your bee piece to be. That looks about right for that one. One over there. Another one. Similar sort of thickness. Similar sort of situation. A bit more flour, I think. Not flour, icing sugar. Put another little stripe on there. Don't worry about that if there's a little bit of extra icing sugar, because that can just be dusted off with a little brush later. And that'll vanish. Now this is very sticky, this black, so it doesn't really matter if I don't actually stick it down with water, but otherwise I would have done the same as I had done with the other bits and pieces. And this time I'm making some centerpieces for the eyes, just a tiny little bit of black fondant. Again, really sticky fondant, otherwise I'd stick it down with water. Probably could put the eyes a little bit further forward even. Anyway. Maybe for a little bit more black, it's a bit bigger piece. Once again, rolling out my stripes. That bee's a bit cockeyed actually. I'm trying not to get the black back onto the bee. As in making it a bit messy. So it's just this black. It's not as bad as the red, but it just can get, like you can just see the tips of my fingers are going a bit dull. And where I've rubbed it sort of looks like I've bruised myself, but it's actually just the black dye coming out of the black fondant. And there we go. 2 stripes for the bees. Now, at this point I suggest washing your hands because you're going to actually touch the little white wings. I've also added the pupils to this little bee that I forgot to do when we turned the thing off. Now I'm going to get my little wings, which are the little hearts that I've just let dry a little bit earlier, and I'm just going to pop them, pick this one up, you just poke them in. That's why I like to let them dry a bit. Just let them poke them in a bit so that he's got some wings. And this little one. And that's why it's good to let them dry because they're easier to poke in. You don't have the hearts go all floppy. You can put a little bit of water or Tylose or glue or something in as well. Then you have your little bees. Now, they'd be no good if you wanted just one little more thing to happen, and that's you want happy bees. Now, you can use a heart cutter. You could use any of your piping tips, depending on the size of the smile that you want your bee to have. I think we'll have a pretty big smile on this one. You just get the edge, make sure it's the nice smooth edge, and you give him a big smile. And there's your happy bee. Oops, I'll just glue that back in, I think, in a moment. And another happy bee. And there you have happy little bees.